Morning.
Morning. So we're on day 9 of doing stuff, and we're working again with domain and range, but this time we're going to talk about domain and range just in little pieces. And today's notes, slightly different format. I would love your comments back. So just let me know on Monday what you thought about the notes format. The notes today are mixed in and rolled in together with the actual assignment, so it stays all together as one thing. Okay. For the top 4, yay, thank you, hole puncher. Cut off the word graph. For the top 4, it is a review from day 7. And so inside of your little cloud thought bubbles, I'd like you please to put the information that we talked about in day 7. That is the x-intercept, the y-intercept, the slope, the domain, the range, whether it's increasing or decreasing. You don't have to write the equation because, boo, I got you. Equation's already written down. Okay? So if you're not sure, again, what it is that you're supposed to be putting in, please take a look at the notes for day 7. That's the information that goes in your thought bubble clouds. Okay? Make sure that you grasp the line. All right, let's look at today's item. Today's item, we're doing domain and range of pieces of lines. So we're going to start at the very bottom of the page. We're looking at the guided practice number 5. That's our notes today. I'm just going to do some examples for you because you've already learned everything and you're still practicing the stuff that was new. All right, notice this part of the line has an arrow on one side, a closed circle on the other. This is some sort of ray. It's just the piece of a line. Please let them in as quickly as possible as they are missing things. Thank you very, very much. All right, finding domain and range on something like this is the same as finding domain and range on the other things. We're just going to have a start and a stop point. Okay, so I'm going to look at the range first. Excuse me, I'm going to look at the domain first. Looking at the domain, I'm going to start with the smallest domain that I can find. So I'm going to look over here at the left, and I notice that my line has an arrow over here. This means that my domain is going to continue on in this direction toward negative infinity. Continuing on toward the right, I see that my function has a stop point right here at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So my domain stretches from negative infinity all the way to positive 9. And because this circle is filled in and closed, it's going to stop at negative 9. And so in interval notation, the domain of this particular graph, this little piece of a line, is negative infinity to 9, including the 9. In inequality notation, it would look something like that. X is always going to be less than 9. Questions on finding domain? Seems okay? All right, let's look at the range now. I'm going to use the same idea. I'm going to start with the smallest possible range value and look for the greatest possible range value. As I start here at the bottom of the graph with my lowest possible ranges, I see that my graph starts here, and then as I move up, I see my arrowhead again, and so my range is going to continue all the way to positive infinity. So my range starts here at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and stretches all the way to positive infinity. Writing it in inequality notation, it would look something like this. And maybe I'll write it with the correct variable because we're dealing with range, and so my variable should be a y and not an x. Because x we're reserving for domain, not range. Oops. Questions? Where'd I get the 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, but it's going down. It should be a negative. Thank you for catching that for me, ma'am. Should be a negative 7. Thank you. She is clearly thinking as she's copying and not just mindlessly writing what I'm writing. Thank you very much. Hi, so since you weren't getting the memo, both of these earbuds need to come out during lecture time. When we're doing study on your own, you can have one in, but during lecture we want to have both out. Thank you very much. Let's look at number 6 together. Number 6, I don't have any arrows, so I'm not going to have any infinities happening. We're going to be looking at a bounded interval. Process remains the same. Going to start at my lowest x value and scoot over toward the right. Here is my lowest x value. Scooting over, here is my biggest x value. And so my functions domain is going to live somewhere between those two yellow points. So my domain is going to be 1, 2, 3, which I'm going to exclude because that's an open. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which I'm going to include. And in inequality notation, it looks like this. When we're writing in inequality notation, it's always going to look like the less than thingies. And this number on the left goes to the left, and the number on the right goes to the right. Now the range, same idea. We're going to start at the bottom of the graph. We're going to find our lowest y value. There it is. And then I'm going to scoot up till I find my biggest y value. There we go. My range is going to live somewhere between those two lines. And so I'm going to look for the values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And negative this time. I'm not going to include it. And then I'm going to find my highest range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which I am going to include. And in interval notation, in inequality notation, it'll look like that. And again, with the correct variable this time. Oh my goodness. I'll learn to write one of these days. Super simple, yes? All right, let's go on to the next one. Should be really, really simple. It's going to look like the one we just did, but both ends of the domain and of the range are going to be included because those are closed circles. So once again, I'm going to count my domain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a negative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a positive. And in inequality notation, using the correct variable today. And my range. Once again, looking for the smallest range value, then scooting up till I find my largest range value. And I'm going to include them both. Time to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Negative 6 because this point is down below the x-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, the poster fell. I'll fix it in a second. No big deal, right? Good. But what if our graph looks like that? It's got like a turn in it. Same process, but all we need to do is every time we get a turn, we're going to look to see if that turn is open or closed. If it's closed, we're just going to breeze right on by. We're not going to stop. But if it's open, it's like a stop sign. We got to stop for a moment. There's something to do, and then we'll continue on. Okay? So I'm going to start with my domain. Here's my smallest domain x value. And then here's my biggest x value. All right, I'm going to include them both, and my x value is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And in inequality notation, it looks like this. The range, same process. We're going to look for the smallest range value. And then we're going to look, here's one range value, but it's closed, and I've got more on it, so I'm going to continue on to the highest range value. Okay? Because this was a closed circle, I'm just going to breeze past it and pretend it's not even there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But let's use the right variable. Goodness gracious. Couldn't manage the right variable. Gosh. Easy, right? All right. Let's take a quick look at the back. Because number 14, if I look at the range, I've got my lowest y value here, my biggest y value here, but look right here. I've got an open thing. So I'm going to have a break in my range. If I look at 17, here's my lowest y value. I've got an infinity thing going on over here, but right here I've got another range break. And if I look at the domain, here's the smallest x value, I've got a domain break right here before I have an infinity thing going on. So I want to show you how to handle this. I have a break in my range and in my domain. And how do I glue the domain here to the domain here to read the entire set of values, okay? And I'm going to do that on my little whiteboard. I don't have any extra little graphs here for you. I want you to have the most practice as possible. So I'm going to slide this to the side, zoom out really big to my graph little whiteboard here. Too much glare? Is it okay? All right, I got a little bit of glare, but it should be all right. Okay. I'm going to draw a random graph that has opens and breaks and things, and it's going to look really horrible and messy, and you guys are going to be like, what are you thinking, you crazy person? Why are you doing this to us? And I'm going to be like, because I can. All right, how's that? Looks a mess? Looks intimidating? Let's break this apart one thing at a time. Let's talk about that domain first. So I'm going to look for my domain breaks. I see my smallest x value is here. And as I read along, I have a domain break right here. I'm going to have one section of domain, one interval, right in this area. Then starting from here, as I read across, I have another domain break right here. So I'm going to have another section, another interval right here. Starting again from here, going on this way, I have this arrow, which means this is going to go off to infinity. And so I'm going to end my domain with some sort of infinity thing. Okay? All right, let's go back over to the left and let's start writing these down. I'm going to start with an exclude because that's open, and now I need that, that coordinate. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Negative 10. And this interval goes all the way to here, negative 3. And then I'm going to glue it with a union. So this symbol here means union. We use it to glue intervals together. Union that starts here and goes to this point, which is 0. This section ends, and I'm going to glue it to my next section, which starts here at 0 and runs all the way toward infinity. And that is the entire domain. Okay, let's review it real quick again, because I've got some people going, all right. I started at negative 10. It's my smallest domain. I ran all the way to here where I have an open, and that happened at -3. I have more domain, so I need to use my union glue. It starts at the same location, and it runs all the way here to 0, where I'm going to stop because I have another break, another open. I'm going to close this one. I'm going to use some more union glue because I have more domain to the right. It's going to start at this point 0, and it's going to continue on for forever. Yes? Good. All right. Let's talk range. Oh my God. Okay. So range. Going to start with my lowest range. My lowest range, I have an arrow here, which means I'm going to start at that negative infinity. Going up from here, this is my next lowest. Okay, so I've got a break here. I've got another break right here. And then as I keep reading up, this is my highest range, right there. So it's going to go from here down, and we're going to write it from the bottom up. Yes? All right. Brown marker. Let's see how well you work. Here's my range. So starting at the bottom, negative infinity. This negative infinity goes all the way to here, which is -1. Yeah, already did. I knew that was going to happen. Use my union glue. Starts at -1, and from -1 it goes up to here. That's 1. Going to use more union glue, and it goes all the way up to here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I don't have anything above the 8, so I'm done. And that's my range. Did that make sense?
The one that when the back is here?
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to ignore Jiminy. He's been having a lot of thoughts and opinions about what I've been talking about all morning. And he just interrupts whenever he wants. So we're just going to ignore him when he's not there. Hopefully he gets the hint. Don't think he will today, but we'll hope. Maybe by Monday he'll have gotten the hint and he'll have left. Questions? All right, that's all I had for you guys today. Thank you very much.